We are somewhere in South Carolina about to experience the all-new 2024 GMC Acadia over the next 2 days. It's been completely refreshed, overhauled for the new generation. We'll be driving the Denali trim and the AT4. And today, we're starting off here with the Denali. We found ourselves a nice scenic corner here with the Acadia Denali in this really nice metallic red paint. As a Denali trim, we have galvano chrome accents, the silver trim from the grille to the accents. We also have upgraded 22-inch wheels. The regular Denali wheels are 20-inch wheels, but you can go up to 22s in this machine metal finish here. And you also have painted body color fenders for the Denali specifically. They've cultivated like a different personality from both the exterior, interior, and driving experience across the three trims. You have updated headlight DRLs here. They have an animated welcome sequence too. The red GMC badge up front with the black lower. And then coming around side, you see a Denali badge here. Obviously, given how much brand equity Denali has, they're really gonna push it hard. You have the Denali logo here on the tailgate where the GMC badge gets relegated down to the corner. Acadia all-wheel drive. And here's a really interesting fun fact. Take a look at these exhaust tips. These squared exhaust tips on the new GMC Acadia took inspiration from the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, the C8 Corvette. Square exhaust tips. It's not the exact same ones, they don't just bolt right on, but that was a design inspiration, which is not something I expected on a mid-sized GMC crossover. We also have updated LED taillights. They do the sweep for the Denali, all LED lighting around, and also this C-pillar / D-pillar trim area, this body color piece here. They're really deliberate in pulling it further back. Usually this painted body piece ends up going here, but now you have a bigger window, which for a 3-row SUV is important. So when you're sitting in the third row, you can actually look out. You're not just looking at the inside of a painted body pillar. The Acadia is also longer, wider, and taller than before. So it's 10.6 inches longer, 3.2 inches taller, a lot more presence. Now let's check out the interior. Denali trim means really nice, luxurious leather. The stitching here in the seats, Denali on the headrest. There are a lot of Denali badges. You got Denali, 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 Denali. Like, there's a lot of Denali logos all over this. They want you to know you are driving a Denali. Super quick interior tour up front. You see the Denali etched there on that wood trim. 15-inch vertically oriented infotainment screen. This is your volume toggle right there. You have physical toggles here for controlling the lower HVAC controls. Air vents. We have paddle shifters, the transmission selector, and then here you can change your drive modes. All-wheel drive, auto stop start, your parking brake, the Bose metal speaker grills. It's definitely very nice. And a digital rear view mirror, taking a look at those nice palm trees. Because the transmission selector has been relocated there, you have this big, large opening for storage below the center console. Center console itself has the wireless phone charger, a little storage bin there. You can close that. It's covered in the wood trim, cup holders, center console, more storage in there. Now let's check out the second row space. You also have that leather and the quilting. Press this button here, slides forward. Time to hop in the third row. All right, I actually have a tremendous amount of headroom back here. I'm 6'2", 6'3"-ish, so headroom is quite fantastic. But now we gotta fold back the second row seat. Oh boy, and that, okay, legroom is not as ideal. I do have a little bit longer of legs, but look, we have a window, which is nice because you can see out, right? So you're not just kind of in this little dark dungeon in the back third row. So that is definitely a very, very nice touch. We also have a button here. Press that. To get yourself out of the third row, you do not need to wait for somebody to come around to move the second row seat for you to hop out. The big panoramic glass roof. Go ahead and close that. Plenty of legroom back here too, and plenty of headroom. Second row space is quite nice with these captain's chairs. They have really upsized the interior dimensions for the Acadia. You also have a ton more cargo, so both cargo and passenger capacity as a result of the whole vehicle growing so much. With that, let's hop back in the driver's seat and go for a drive. We start off our first time driving the GMC Acadia with the top tier luxury focused Denali trim. And GMC has cultivated three very distinct personalities with the trim levels offered on the Acadia. You have the Elevation, which is the entry-level one, and then you have the AT4 and the Denali. With the Denali, as with everything else branded Denali, you get much more premium luxury. And from the outside, we could tell that from the 22-inch wheels, the bright work, the Galvano chrome. But on the inside, you'll be met with a lot of leather, nice open pore wood. You can feel kind of the texture there. It's got this laser-etched Denali logo there, nice stitching. There's two distinct different color personalities too. This one obviously is the all black, much more dark and moody. And then there's the much lighter, kind of a cream, they call it sheer, almost white leather with the very dark atmosphere, the darker brown accents. It makes it feel really open and airy. But this one, much more darker theme, but you have these white stitching accents all over the seats, along the door cards there. It is definitely a nice premium interior, a big step up from the Chevy Traverse sibling. The other big thing I noticed is the screen size is actually smaller in the GMC Acadia. And typically, as you move up market, automakers like to put bigger and bigger screens, right? The more inches of screen you have, the more premium and luxurious it must mean with more tech. To a certain extent, right? At a certain point, some of these screens are getting way too big. So the Traverse had that 17.7-inch screen, which a lot of the Chevy vehicles have now, but the GMC Acadia has a 15-inch screen, and it's vertically oriented. They specifically designed this interior, a lot of the horizontal theme, to make it feel wide, lower. They lowered the actual dash lower area there on the passenger side. It's got these like stacked layers with the one vertical element of this screen here in portrait mode, which I think it's really nicely integrated. It feels like it's put into the dash itself, not just some afterthought tablet just got stuck there. It's running the built-in Google system, but I believe it still has CarPlay and Android Auto. But how does this drive? Let's talk about what this is like to drive. I have the same complaint as I did with the Chevy Traverse. I'm not a fan of this 2.5-liter Turbo 4. Makes solid power and torque, 328 horsepower, 326 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed automatic transmission. We're in front-wheel drive mode right now, but this one is all-wheel drive equipped. We go to all-wheel drive. We'll toggle up our drive mode. We'll go into, not snow and ice. It is nice and warm right now, not off-road. That's AT4 tomorrow. Sport mode. Yeah, it just feels a little coarse. My complaint has always been when automakers downsize and heavily turbocharge forced induction a smaller engine, on paper it can make more power, torque can be just as efficient or maybe more efficient usually, but the driving experience is not the same as a larger displacement, smoother engine. So I don't love the engine in the GMC Acadia, not my favorite. But on paper, right, it does all the things. It can tow 5,000 pounds when properly equipped, right? It's got plenty of torque. Passing power is definitely sufficient. It just doesn't, to me, speak a more premium luxury experience. We do have available all-wheel drive, which this one does have. It's got specifically tuned suspension, frequency-based suspension dampers for the Denali here. So they did a lot of distinctive different tuning for the different ride qualities across the different trims. Obviously, AT4 is much more off-road focused. The Denali is going to be a little more luxurious and on 22-inch wheels. Pretty impressed with the ride quality. The isolation, it's quieter. I think it feels quieter than the Traverse. This has active noise cancellation. It's got the 12-speaker Bose sound system. This one is upgraded to the 16-speaker for the Denali, but active noise cancellation, reducing unwanted road noise, wind noise, and everything outside. And on 22-inch wheels. It's been a comfortable, nice cabin to be in. Plenty of technology. It's got Super Cruise. Super Cruise is available on all the Acadia trims. I think that's the first time. Usually it's only reserved for like the top tier ones. But now, whether you got an Elevation, AT4, or the Denali, you can option Super Cruise hands-free system on the supported map roads. It's 400,000 miles of map roads, and they're adding more and more. And I personally am a quite big fan of Super Cruise. I just took a weekend trip up to Toronto in a Cadillac Lyric, and pretty much was hands-free Super Cruise on the freeway for I'd probably estimate 70% of the entire drive, and it's pretty fantastic. And you can get that on the GMC Acadia. You can see it's got that big display there and the sensor watching you. But good first impressions, just cruising around as a luxury premium. This is technically still a mid-size SUV, I believe. Tomorrow, we'll be getting to try out the AT4. We're heading back to the resort where we're staying at, and we're going to get some more up-close clips, climb around the inside, check out the second row space. Apparently has the best second row legroom in the class. and continue exploring the GMC Acadia. Let's take a tour of this Acadia AT4 and see how it compares with the Denali. So one of the first things you'll notice are the 18-inch wheels that are unique to the AT4 along with the all-terrain tires. They really contribute to the higher ride height and the overall much more aggressive stance and the off-road personality of the AT4. Up front, you'll notice darkened trim like on the grille. Unlike the Denali, which has the much brighter chrome work, this is all darkened on the AT4. We have the red tow hooks down here. Those are functional. We have the skid plate below, and that 1.2 inch increased ride height gives it a more aggressive stance. You'll also notice the accent lights here on the fenders, the wheel opening molding, the WOM lights. It matches some of the other AT4 branded vehicles, AT4X, like on the GMC Canyon has the same thing for the off-road focused GMC vehicles. You have the same headlights and DRLs, but on the non-Denali trim, so Elevation AT4, you don't get that animated welcome sequence. That is exclusively for the Denali. Coming around side, we have an AT4 badge here, and we have the black trim around the window, the roof rails up there. See, the taillights are on, all LED lighting still on all of them. And you notice the GMC badge here. Remember on the Denali, this became Denali, and the GMC badge was put in the corner, but AT4 here, GMC, Acadia all-wheel drive, same quad exhaust tips. Let's take a look inside. So this color combination is called Forest Storm. It's like a really, really dark green main color here. This is the color combo you get on the AT4 with a mahogany brown accent on the piping, the stitching. It's a combination of leather and like this textile cloth. It almost feels like canvas or denim here. You have the AT4 logo embroidered, and they bring that red accent stitching down here in the middle too. Otherwise, the interior is very similar. The same driver information cluster, digital cluster, the vertical infotainment screen right there. We've got Super Cruise, got more brown stitching on the steering wheel, and the dark chrome accents, this darkened trim all along here with a different type of accent. This is not wood like on the Denali. You see different stitching too, but this dark green, this Forest Storm color is definitely an interesting color combination. All right, day two, and we start off in the Acadia AT4 trim. AT4, like always with GMC, is the slightly more off-road focused one. You do have the AT4X, and then you get like AEV ones for really hardcore off-roading, but that's not the AT4. Despite that, we have some pretty impressive credentials that make this credibly capable. So we'll quickly cover some of the mechanical changes. A big one is this has a twin clutch differential out back for the all-wheel drive system, which is unique to the AT4, and it means it has a little bit more control of where it sends torque left to right. We have functional front skid plates. We have, actually I think there's two skid plates underneath. We have functional front tow hooks, and the tires are exclusive to the AT4. They're an 18-inch wheel with an all-terrain tire and a slightly higher ride height. It's a combination of the tire itself being taller and the actual suspension, so overall 1.2 inches taller. And actually when we were leaving, about to start this drive, I was like, it might be psychological knowing that we're in the AT4, but it feels a good amount taller. Like 1 inch ride height doesn't sound like a ton, but you do feel like you have a little bit more commanding of a road presence, but it's all for the sake of a little bit better capability off-roading. Now, GMC Acadia customers are not likely hardcore off-road consumers, right? They may just need this to be able to navigate to a campsite or handle some all-terrains, maybe hills with snow or inclement weather, so forth. More lifestyle focused, and they also may like the look. You cannot deny that, right? The more rugged, more slightly kind of utilitarian look with the bigger tires. You got way more sidewall, and the exterior styling, like the blackened accents and things like that, with slightly different front fascia to the lower. That can be really appealing and be enough justification for somebody to buy into the AT4 brand. GMC was talking about how strong penetration they have of Denali and AT4 trims, because these are the more expensive ones, right? Volume is still going to be the Elevation. People are just going to get the entry-level one. You get an impressive amount of tech and standard equipment, but they offer this for those who want just a little bit more of a special experience. So we're going to be doing some light off-roading. It's pretty flat out here, so I don't expect anything intense, but we'll get the trucks a little dusty and dirty. We'll try out, there's an off-road mode, which I'm actually going to go into right now for funsies. I can toggle up on the left here, get the cool graphic that shows up on the main screen. So we have an off-road mode, and there's a terrain mode. We are apparently going to get a chance to try out terrain mode, which simulates having a low-speed two-speed transfer case, so we have a low range to really navigate over tricky terrain or something like that, hence terrain mode. Off-road mode navigates through all speeds, right? But it allows the car to kind of move around a little bit more if you're through softer terrain to get through. Outside of those mechanical differences for the AT4, you have the same engine, same transmission, so still the 2.5 turbo 4, 8-speed automatic. We're in some softer sand right now, so in off-road mode, let's see if we can have a little bit of fun. Whee! Still quite light steering. Again, it just feels like a mainstream premium SUV with a little bit of an off-road twist to it. And a lot of manufacturers are creating these. You have the Explorer, the Timber something, Explorer 1. There's these medium light off-road focused SUVs. All right, we've got a little bit of an obstacle to go through. Let's turn on the cameras.
She went a little bit to the right. So
Okay.
You want to stay a little bit to the left, kind of follow your left tire track along this side.
All right.
As you can see, it'll get to a point where it starts doing a little bit of digging and you need to give it a little bit of gas. But, you know, I say keep a little bit of momentum. It's obviously not a high-speed course. But
Challenge accepted.
I think you'll be fine.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Kurt will give you a little help on the position.
There we go. A little bit more gas. Woohoo! Definitely not the most amount of suspension articulation, so we are going completely all over the place. But, you know, got through. We got to feel terrain mode, shuffling that power around with that twin clutch all-wheel drive, rear diff out back. A little bit of a drop. Done. There we go. All right, we will exit terrain mode because terrain mode is designed for low speed stuff. The animations are pretty cool. The graphics here on the main screen, I'll just cycle through, you can see them. There's sport, normal, tow haul, terrain. Terrain is exclusive to AT4, back into off-road. See how this thing does. Whee! There are no speed limits off-road, right? Is that a law? I don't know. Don't take that as legal advice. I have no idea. So I think that's the extent of the AT4 usage, right? Something like that. Even an obstacle like that, I don't know how much the customers will be dealing with it, but you know you can if you need to, I don't know, get up a really, really steep driveway or something intense. Or maybe you want to have a little bit of fun, like we're doing now, like fire roads or something like that, climbing up a mountain to reach a scenic outlook or camping. The AT4 can do it, and they added a good amount of hardware credentials. It seems like more than the previous generation. And you do have functional skid plates. You have tow hooks up front. If you get stuck and you get towed out, or probably if somebody else is stuck, you need to rescue them with the Acadia AT4. Anyways, we are going to be joining back onto regular traffic on the main road. So we'll pick up navigation, continue. And let's see how the AT4 behaves on road. Remember, when I drove the Traverse Z71, I was actually pretty impressed. I thought it rode a little bit better than the RS, because RS had the really big wheels and lower profile tires. I was impressed how the Acadia Denali rode, but again, these are platform siblings, so I expect a probably similar thing. The tires are much more compliant on the road, and the road noise wasn't bad from what I recall. Right now, we're getting gravel and little pebbles hitting the car, but we'll see once we get back on normal tarmac. All right, we're back on the pavement now, so we'll leave off-road mode and go to sport. Why not? Let's see what sport is like. They went back into two-wheel drive mode, so we're back in front-wheel drive. If you go into the off-road modes, obviously it forces it into an all-wheel drive mode. Another initial impression I'm getting with the AT4 is on the inside, this is quite nice. Like, there's some differences from the Denali, right? The seats have not as much leather, and like you don't have the upgraded Bose sound system here, but I'm quite impressed inside here. You have a lot of the really other nice touches. The center console design here with the screen, kind of the detailing and things like that. The trim is slightly different, but I quite like this AT4 inside. I think overall, initial personality-wise, I would probably actually go for the AT4. The Denali is for sure a little more luxury leaning, but it's not a full-out luxury experience, and not that it's meant to be. They have Cadillac in the brand portfolio for that. But I think the more rugged personality for something in this SUV, mid-size SUV segment appeals to me. I think it looks cool with the off-road all-terrain tires, and they're not really compromised on the road. We still have Super Cruise. We'll try that in a moment as we get onto hopefully a larger road. But let's take this opportunity to talk about pricing. What is the price point for the GMC Acadia? The base elevation trim starts at $42,600. I believe that's before destination and delivery. The AT4 we're driving right now sits in the middle lineup starting at $50,000, and the Denali we were driving yesterday is $54,300. And then obviously you can stack on some more options on top of it. They are very nicely equipped as standard as you go through the different trim levels. For example, all the safety features are essentially standard across, but you can option things like Super Cruise, upgraded sound system, and a couple little things here and there. But that's the price spread for the GMC Acadia. What does this compete against? Well, other mid-size 3-row SUVs. We're talking things like the maybe Hyundai Palisade, a little more premium, Jeep Grand Cherokee. You can get different options that enter this space too. We have the Toyota Grand Highlander possibly. There's a lot. It's a very competitive segment, and you may crush up against a Chevy Traverse, so does it feel different enough from the Traverse? The ultimate result of platform sharing is you will have a lot of similarities. The powertrain to me feels essentially the same. Maybe they tune things slightly differently, but it is extremely similar feeling. The interior is distinct enough, including like hard touch points and the layout and the overall design, where it does not feel like they just swapped the logo or anything like that. We're way past those kind of days. So they did a good job there. Styling is definitely distinctive. Driving experience, you can see the trims mirrored. We have RS as the sportier side, but also, the bigger wheels, Denali, kind of like that. You have the base one, and then you have the Z71, and you have this one. Z71 had the same twin clutch all-wheel drive system mechanically. I'm sure it probably has the same tires, if I'm guessing. So, some final thoughts after getting to experience the GMC Acadia, the two flavors, Denali and AT4. Definitely well executed and very much needed updates. They did a good job. I do really like this vertically oriented infotainment screen. It just feels nicely integrated into the vehicle. I like the design, the cabin. Not a huge fan of the powertrain. The engine itself is just not my favorite aspect of the vehicle, but a lot of really cool innovations. Plenty of practicality. It has been upsized quite a bit. Super Cruise is always great to use. We got to try out a bit of light off-roading, more so just getting the SUVs a little bit dusty, tried out terrain mode, plenty of tech, safety feature, creature comfort. So a competitive entry into the segment from GMC. If you're looking for something a little more premium, distinctive, stands out from the rest of the crowd, go for the Denali or AT4 trim. Very distinct personalities. Hope you guys enjoyed this first impressions drive and review of the GMC Acadia. Thanks for watching.